Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the show. Today we are talking about the top 10 teams going into Week 16 of the NFL. And Patriots fans, I'm sorry, we will get them next year. So at number 10, I struggled. There's like 5 teams I was in between for who would go here. I thought about the Cardinals, the Steelers, the Bucs, the Dolphins, and the Ravens. But I gave it to the Ravens just because they have lately had a little bit more momentum. Like the Buccaneers, they came back against the Falcons, which, like, anyone can do that. The Steelers, I couldn't put in this list. That was an ugly loss, and they have gone from 11-0 to 11-3, and with their next 2 matchups being the Colts and the Browns, I think they could legit lose out, and be pretty low in the AFC wild card when they had the first place spot for so long. It's crazy. And I put the Ravens. I don't know. I don't love it. I don't hate it. I mean, that was a dominant performance against the Jaguars. Like, it was just not even close. And the Jaguars suck. But they also beat the Browns last week, which was a big win for them. And I think they're going to find a way to end up in the playoffs. I'm not sure which one of those teams falls because they are right up with those teams. But, I mean, I could see the Dolphins losing one of these and the Ravens just winning out. So I think there'll be an interesting one who might have a bit of a comeback. I mean, we all thought they'd be good at the beginning of the season, but they kind of didn't live up for this middle part, but now they seem to be finding their step again. So I think there'll be an interesting one to look at as the season goes on. And so number 9, I felt like I should keep them on the list. I'm putting the LA Rams. I don't know. Losing to the Jets is unacceptable. Especially with a division as jam-packed as the NFC West, you cannot lose a gimme game. You just can't. And, I mean, the Jets were 0-13. Like, this was their first win, and it was against a pretty good team. I didn't think it was enough to put the Rams out of the top 10. I feel like they are a balanced team, and I feel like they could cause problems for teams in the playoffs, but they're just so inconsistent. Like, the past 2 weeks, they've been great. They crushed the New England Patriots. It's okay, guys. And they beat the Cardinals the week before. But then they lose to the Jets at home? That's absurd. They're just too inconsistent. It's weird. It's like, I think Goff could be the problem. And I think Goff is good, but Goff can get so in his head so easily, it seems like, that I don't know that he's the guy you want for a team that is as balanced and well-coached as the Rams. And so, I think they would be beat today by the Colts, so I'll put them at number 8. They beat the Texans. It wasn't like a big win. Divisional wins are always weird, but they always seemed pretty in control of the game. Obviously, Deshaun's amazing, but that's all the Texans have going for them. So the Colts should have won this game, and they did win this game. They're so weird to me that they're good. I would have thought that Rivers was not the answers, that he was washed up, that it would just not work this year. But, I mean, like, they're winning games. They're winning a lot of games. I think they'll be an interesting team. They're very well coached. I really love their play calls and how they use, like, Jacoby Brissett. Like, you could tell that smart people are coming up with these plays. And I feel like they're very physical, and obviously their defense is great. And so I think that they're another team that can cause some problems in the playoffs. And so above them, though, I do put the Titans. Those two, like the Titans and the Colts, have been a really good, cool back and forth through the season of who's going to take the AFC South. Because basically, the Titans have it, but one wrong step and they lose it. It's been awesome. The Titans, they could be so good if they had a better defense. Because their offense is great. They have great receivers. Tannehill has been working out really well, and obviously Derrick Henry is just, like, he is their saving grace. It is crazy the things that man can do. I really do think that without him, they would be a lot more mediocre, kind of towards, like, 7, 9, 8, and 8. But with him, they could just do so much, and he's so hard to take down that you need to, like, a defense has to design plays specifically to take him down or else he'll run through. But then once they do that, like, you still have a quarterback who could throw the ball to great receivers like A.J. Brown, Corey Davis. And I think obviously I love their coach, Vrabel. I think that they are another team that could be very good, but if their defense was better, they could go from here to here. You know, like they're like an 8 out of 10 team. They could go to like a 9 out of 10 team. You know, so I want to see if their defense can step it up or if that will end up being their downfall when we get to playoff time and they have to play these really good teams. But above them, I'm putting the Browns. The Browns are on a run here. I mean, they lost last week, but it was a good loss. You talk about good losses and bad losses. This was a good loss. I feel like it's so weird that without OBJ, their culture just seems so much better. I've heard a lot of theories online that Baker was just forcing it to OBJ because he's the kind of guy who he's a great receiver, but if you're not giving him the ball a lot, he seems to get really upset and be a bit of a diva. And I think that if the Browns don't have to buy into that, like with OBJ hurt, they can do a lot more of a team player kind of mindset. And so they're running the ball well. Baker's been playing great. And their defense is pretty good. Their secondary is not great, but they have a really good pass rush and a really good O-line. So I think that they could be dangerous. They've really got a lot of momentum. And I feel like they've been the big underdogs of the season. Because all season we've kind of been like, oh, well, it's the Browns, but they'll find someone to blow it. But they're pretty much in the playoffs unless something crazy happens, like they lose out and the other teams win out. Which, you know, that can still happen. Like, they do have to face the Steelers and stuff. But I think that they have been the really big underdog of the season, especially with just a couple years now of being so bad and finally coming together this season. It's been really cool to see them just grow and grow and grow and grow. And I wonder if they could just get rid of OBJ because they're just better without him. And so above them, I'm putting the Seahawks. They had a bit of like an ugly win against the football team. And obviously football team has a really good defense. Like, make fun of the name all you want. They have a good defense. But the Seahawks still pulled away with a win. Russ is still great. They're not rolling the same way that they were in the first couple weeks. But their defense has gotten better. Like, that was the main complaint, and their defense has just gotten better. But I think that with a solid offense, and if they can get their defense a little more solid, it's becoming a more balanced team. And they're just kind of winning games. It feels like it's not as decisive as before, and they don't have the big, like, over-the-top offense where Russ is just throwing moon balls. But it almost feels a lot more mature. And I think with Carlos Hyde back, that they can do some really great things. And obviously, I think that Russell Wilson is the best quarterback in the NFL. And I think when you have someone like that, there are just so many options. And I think that, I don't think they go all the way, but I think they do cause some problems in the playoffs. Like, I bet they get far. I bet they get to the NFC Championship. But above them, I'm putting the Saints. The Saints are a weird one to place because it's like, yeah, they're 10-4, but I feel like I don't quite buy it. Like, it feels like a lot of these wins they've almost snuck away with, and it feels like they didn't quite play the better game. And they looked awful yesterday. I don't know how the score was as close as it was, but it was like that should not have been 32-29. Breeze looked terrible. And I know he just came back from injury, and I've heard theories that it could actually be a good thing that he got injured because as they get to the postseason, he can be more fresh, and he didn't have to play all 17 games like someone like an Aaron Rodgers or a Patrick Mahomes who has been playing through the whole season. And I mean, I think they're really well coached. They're another team kind of like the Rams and maybe the Seahawks, who you can't quite tell yet, who are a little more balanced, and they have a great defense. Obviously, Peyton is a fantastic coach, and obviously they can run the ball. If Breeze can throw the ball effectively, it's weird because I feel like the receiving core has been kind of the weird thing with the Saints is like, because we all thought that Michael Thomas would be this great thing because of the fantastic year he had last year. And then this year, it just wasn't quite the same. And so I put them at 4. I don't know. I feel like they deserve to be in the top 10. 4 almost seems too high, but I feel like I didn't feel right about putting them under the Seahawks or the Browns. So they're one who we just have to see. And so above them, I'm putting Green Bay. I debated them 2 or 3, but I feel like they had a bit, like, it was kind of an ugly win. They kind of did the same thing like they did against the Colts, where they looked great in the first half and then just went to sleep for the second half. And I mean, the Colts are a much better team than the Panthers, so the Colts were able to capitalize, and the Panthers weren't because they were like 4-10. But in the postseason, you are going against good teams like the Colts, or they're probably. I mean, they'll have the bye if they can keep winning, but they'll be play. They'll at some point have to play these good teams, and if they can't finish a game, then they're gonna have real problems with teams like the Chiefs who can just be terrible for 3 quarters and be fine because they're just always in control like that. And so above them, I put in the Bills. It feels weird putting them on number 2, but it feels right. The Bills have been rolling. Like, they're a Hail Mary away from being 8-0 in their last 8. They have been going crazy. And teams like this are why I really like football. Like, obviously, as a Patriots fan, I do not want to see a Bills dynasty. But I love that, like, Josh Allen has progressed every year, and the Bills team has progressed every year to become this really just dominant team. Like, their only real losses are the Chiefs and the Titans. Obviously, there's the Cardinals one, but they won that game. They won the game. And I just think that their defense is getting better. Josh Allen has been incredible this season. Seeing him progress has been just a cool thing. And I think that they could cause some real problems in the playoffs. And I say that they're probably my number 2 team in the AFC to go to the Super Bowl. But obviously number 1 is the Chiefs. They're scary because they win these games, but they win them close. They never have just this decisive victory unless it's over a team like the Jets or something. It's always they're winning by 3 points, 4 points, 2 points. And it always feels like it's the last thing. They can't play a normal game. But, I mean, it just always feels like they're in control, which is the most important thing. They always feel like, I'm not worried. We are going to win this game. I have faith in us. And I can't argue with that. It's such a weird thing of like a team where they're just always in control. So they felt like number 1 seed today. I think if the Chiefs and Bills played, the Chiefs would win. But again, I don't know. The Bills could be interesting, and I'm curious to see that if they play or when they play, how it ends up going down. Thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.